Marcus wasn't running, least that's what he told himself. He drove slow, each mile stretching on forever. Dust kicked up behind his old pickup truck. The sun hung low, casting long shadows. Memories of the war clung to him. Faces of friends lost, places he'd rather forget. You ever wanted to disappear, just stop existing for a while? He turned down a bumpy dirt road. It led to nowhere, just a patch of land, overgrown and wild. His heart didn't race like it used to, just a dull throb now. If it were you, would you disappear too? The war had a way of stealing the thrill from everything. He parked near a rusted mailbox. The numbers were barely visible. Before we go on, hit subscribe and like. Helps keep these stories coming. He stepped out, the heat wrapping around him. The air was thick with dust. A few cottonwood trees swayed lightly. They whispered secrets, but he didn't listen. He walked toward the mobile home. It sat alone, half hidden by weeds. The paint was peeling. Windows were clouded with grime. Local rumors danced in his mind. Folks said it was haunted, said strange things happened there. Marcus chuckled softly. Ghosts didn't scare him, not anymore. He had seen worse. He pushed the door, and it creaked loudly. Inside, the air was stale. The floorboards groaned beneath his weight. He took a step inside. The light streamed through the dirty window. Dust motes floated in the beams. The place felt empty. He scanned the small space. An old couch leaned against the wall. A table was covered in dust. Something caught his eye in the corner. A picture hung askew, a family, smiling. He reached out, fingers brushing against the frame. The glass felt cold. It sparked a memory, laughter, joy. He shook it off. This home wasn't his, not anymore. He stepped further in. The smell of mildew hit him. He wrinkled his nose. The tin roof creaked overhead. He wandered to the kitchen area. A small propane stove sat unused. He tapped the counter. It felt solid but old. He could fix it up, make it a place to hide. He thought about the war again, the sounds of gunfire, the cries of men. He wanted to escape it all, but this home, it wasn't the answer. He felt an itch at the back of his mind. Something wasn't right. He turned back to the door, just a shadow. Then he heard it, a soft rustle. He froze. His heart thudded in his chest. Was someone else here? His breath caught. He listened. The sound came again, quiet but clear. It was coming from the other room. He stepped cautiously, each footfall careful. The mobile home felt alive. The shadows danced around him. As he neared the doorway, the sound grew louder. He peered around the corner. Nothing, just a pile of old blankets. Marcus sighed, shaking his head. Maybe the stories were getting to him. Maybe he was losing his mind. But then he heard it again, closer this time. His hand tightened on the doorway. What was he getting himself into? Marcus stood in the doorway. The air felt thick. Memories swirled around him. Images of the battlefield, faces he couldn't forget. He shook his head. This home wasn't a refuge. It was just a distraction. But he needed it, needed to escape. He stepped further inside. Dust floated in the sunlight. The smell of mildew hit him again. He wrinkled his nose. The floor creaked beneath him. He wandered to the kitchen area. Old cabinets hung crooked. A small propane stove sat unused. He tapped the counter, solid but old, could be fixed. He thought about making it a hideout, a place to forget. But the war followed him. The sounds of gunfire echoed in his mind, the cries of men. He wanted to lock those memories away. Just for a while, maybe this mobile home could help. The local folks had warned him, said strange things happened here. Rumors of shadows moving at night, whispers echoing through the walls. Marcus chuckled softly. Ghosts didn't scare him. He'd faced worse, but as he stood there, doubt crept in. He felt an itch at the back of his mind. Something wasn't right. He turned back to the door. Just shadows dancing. Then he heard it, a soft rustle. He froze. His heart thudded in his chest. Was someone else here? His breath caught. He listened. The sound came again, quiet but clear, from the other room. He stepped cautiously, each footfall careful. The mobile home felt alive. Shadows flickered around him. As he neared the doorway, the sound grew louder. He peered around the corner. Nothing. Be honest. Do you open that door or turn back now? Just a pile of old blankets. Marcus sighed, shaking his head. Maybe the stories were getting to him. Maybe he was losing his mind, but then he heard it again. Closer this time. His hand tightened on the doorway. What was he getting himself into? He took a deep breath. The air was stale. He stepped into the next room. The curtains were tattered. Dust settled on the couch. It leaned against the wall, tired and worn. He glanced around. Old magazines scattered on the table. Faded pictures hung askew. He noticed a blanket on the floor, crumpled and pushed aside. A chill ran down his spine. Who had been here? He felt exposed. The shadows seemed to watch him. He turned back toward the door. The rustling stopped. Silence wrapped around him. He stepped back, wanting to leave, but curiosity pulled him in. He moved deeper into the home. The floor creaked under his weight. He scanned the room. Nothing, just remnants of a life left behind. But then he saw it, a shape under the blanket. He squinted, heart racing. Was it a trick of the light? He took a cautious step forward. The blanket shifted. Someone was there. "Hello?" he called out. No response, just silence. His pulse quickened. Should he leave or check? He approached slowly. The blanket moved again. He reached out, hesitated. "Who's there?" Still no answer. He pulled the blanket back. A woman lay curled up, her face peaceful, but her belly, it was round. Marcus stepped back. Should he lift the blanket or leave it alone? Shock rooted him to the spot. A pregnant woman, sleeping inside the abandoned mobile home. He felt the weight of the moment, all the memories, the burdens, the war. They crashed over him. This wasn't the escape he sought. He turned away. The door creaked loudly. He needed air, needed to think. Outside, the sun was bright, but the shadows loomed long. He took a deep breath. The weight of the world followed him. Marcus stood in the doorway. The air felt thick. Memories swirled around him, images of the battlefield, faces he couldn't forget. He shook his head. This home wasn't a refuge. It was just a distraction. But he needed it, needed to escape. He stepped further inside. Dust floated in the sunlight. The smell of mildew hit him again. He wrinkled his nose. The floor creaked beneath him. He wandered to the kitchen area. Old cabinets hung crooked. A small propane stove sat unused. He tapped the counter. It felt solid, but old. He could fix it up, make it a place to hide. He thought about the war again. The sounds of gunfire, the cries of men. He wanted to erase those memories, but they wouldn't fade. They clung to him like shadows in the night. He closed his eyes, tried to block it all out. Outside, a coyote howled. The sound echoed through the stillness. He opened his eyes, looked around the room. Rusty nails jutted from the walls. A chill ran down his spine. He felt the weight of the past pressing in. He could hear whispers in the wind. Local stories about this place, rumors of shadows moving at night. Marcus chuckled softly. Ghosts didn't scare him. He'd faced worse. But as he stood there, doubt crept in. He felt an itch at the back of his mind. Something wasn't right. He turned back to the door. Just shadows dancing. Then he heard it. A soft rustle. He froze. His heart thudded in his chest. Was someone else here? His breath caught. He listened. The sound came again. Quiet, but distinct. He stepped further inside. The blanket on the floor caught his eye, crumpled and pushed aside. He bent down to pick it up. The fabric felt warm, but there shouldn't be warmth in a place like this. "Hello?" he called out. No response. Just silence. His pulse quickened. Should he leave or check? He approached slowly. The blanket shifted. Someone was there. He reached out, hesitated. "Who's there?" Still no answer. He pulled the blanket back. A woman lay curled up, her face peaceful, but her belly, it was round. Marcus stepped back. Shock rooted him to the spot, a pregnant woman sleeping inside the abandoned mobile home. He felt the weight of the moment, all the memories, the burdens, the war. They crashed over him. This wasn't the escape he sought. He turned away. The door creaked loudly as he opened it. He needed air, needed to think. Outside the sun was bright, but the shadows loomed long. He took a deep breath. The weight of the world followed him. What was he supposed to do? The thoughts spiraled. Help her? Run away? He leaned against the frame. The warmth of the sun felt foreign. He closed his eyes, tried to find clarity. The woman stirred inside. He opened his eyes, watched as she stretched, yawning softly. The sight tugged at something deep within him. He shook his head. This wasn't his life. Not anymore. But he couldn't shake the feeling, the urge to help. He stepped back inside. The air felt charged with uncertainty. What would you do? Help a stranger? Or walk away? Are you okay? He asked quietly. She didn't stir, just lay there, breathing softly. He took another step closer. The floor creaked beneath him. Dust motes danced in the light. He reached out again. This time he brushed her shoulder. She opened her eyes slowly. "Who are you?" she whispered. Her voice was fragile, like glass. "Marcus," he replied. "I didn't mean to intrude." She blinked. Confusion clouded her face. "I was just resting." "Resting?" he echoed. "In a place like this?" She nodded. "It's all I have." Those words struck him hard. He glanced around the room, the remnants of a forgotten life. He felt the weight of her reality, everything he wanted to escape from. He looked back at her. The roundness of her belly reminded him of fragile things, memories of hope. He took a breath. "You need help." A flicker of something crossed her eyes. Fear, hope, he couldn't tell. "I don't want trouble," she murmured. "Neither do I," he said, "but you can't stay here." "Why not?" she asked. "Because it's not safe," he replied. "You shouldn't be alone." She looked down. "I don't have anywhere else to go." The words hung heavy in the air. He felt the war inside him, the burdens he carried. But this wasn't about him, it was about her. He stepped back. "I can help. Just let me." She studied him. There was a glimmer of trust, or maybe it was desperation. He didn't know, but he felt a shift. Something began to change. He took another deep breath. "I'll make sure you're safe, just don't be afraid." Her eyes softened. "All right." Outside, the sun began to set. The shadows grew longer, and inside the abandoned mobile home, something new began to stir. Hope, maybe, or just the promise of another day. Marcus stood there, frozen, the weight of the moment pressed down. He blinked, trying to grasp what he saw. A woman, pregnant, curled under a blanket in the abandoned mobile home. He took a step back, heart racing, taking her with him. Right choice or reckless move? Shadows danced on the walls. Dust motes floated in the fading light. He glanced around the room. The couch leaned against the wall. Pictures hung askew, remnants of a life once lived. "Who are you?" he whispered, not wanting to startle her. She opened her eyes slowly. "I'm just resting," she murmured. "Resting?" he echoed. "In a place like this?" Her gaze dropped. "It's all I have." Those words cut deeper than he expected. He studied her, the fragile woman, the roundness of her belly, the reality of her situation hit hard. He felt the walls of his own past closing in, memories of war, pain, loss. He shook his head. "This ain't right," he said, more to himself than her. He stepped forward. "You shouldn't be here alone." She looked at him, confusion clouding her eyes. "Why do you care?" He opened his mouth to respond, then closed it. What was he doing? He didn't even know her name. Yet something pulled at him, a need to help. "Where are you from?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Nowhere," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just needed a place to hide." He shifted uncomfortably. Hide. That word hung in the air. It echoed his own thoughts. He wanted to hide from the memories. The sounds of gunfire, the faces of lost friends. But she needed help. "You can't stay here," he said. "It's not safe. You need food, medical care." Her eyes darkened. "And where would I go? I don't have anyone. No one cares." The truth of her words settled in. He felt the urge to turn away, but he couldn't. "I can help," he said more firmly this time. "Just let me." She studied him, searching for something. Trust? Desperation? He couldn't tell, but he felt the air shift. Tension thickened. "I don't want trouble," she murmured. "Neither do I," he replied. "But you need help." She hesitated. The silence stretched between them. He felt the weight of her gaze, the uncertainty. "What if I don't want your help? Then what? You'll stay here?" He gestured around the room. "In this place? Alone?" Her shoulders slumped. "I don't have anywhere else to go." The words hung heavy. He felt the war inside him, the burdens he carried. But this wasn't about him. It was about her. He stepped back, trying to clear his head. "Look," he said, "I can't let you stay here. I'll make sure you're safe. Just don't be afraid." She held his gaze. There was a flicker of hope. Or maybe it was something else. He wasn't sure, but he felt a shift, something beginning to change. "All right," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. He took a deep breath, relief flooding him. Outside, the sun dipped lower. Shadows stretched across the mobile home. The air grew cooler. He stepped toward her again. "Let's get you out of here." As he moved, he noticed small details. A plate in the sink, a blanket folded neatly on the couch, signs of someone living there. He hadn't imagined it. She had been here, alone. "Do you have a name?" he asked softly. "Claire," she replied, her voice steadier now. "Claire," he repeated. "All right, we'll figure this out together." He turned to leave. The sunlight streamed through the window, but he hesitated. Something pulled him back. He reached into his pocket, fished out a granola bar. "Here, you need to eat." She took it, eyes widening. "Thank you." He nodded, unsure of what to say next. The tension lingered. He felt the shadows creeping closer, reminding him of his past. But now he had a chance to help someone else. "Let's get you some real food," he suggested. "You can come with me." Claire looked around the mobile home, the remnants of her life, the weight of her reality. He could see it all in her eyes. But he also saw a flicker of something else. Hope, maybe. Together they stepped outside. The world felt different. The sun began to set, casting long shadows. And inside the abandoned mobile home, something new started to stir. A chance for both of them. A promise of another day. The sun dipped lower, casting shadows inside the mobile home. Marcus stepped cautiously, heart thumping. The air felt heavy. Dust motes floated in the fading light. He scanned the room. Signs of life were everywhere. A half-eaten sandwich lay on the table. A few dishes stacked in the corner. Something stirred in him. This wasn't just an abandoned place. Someone had made it home. He moved toward the small kitchen. The floor creaked under his weight. A faint smell of something cooking lingered. He found a pot on the stove. It was empty, but there were remnants. Someone had been here. Recently. He turned back to the main room. The blanket he'd found earlier lay crumpled on the couch. He approached it again. That warmth still lingered. He couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone. "Hello?" he called softly. No answer. Just silence. A sense of urgency bubbled up. He needed to find out who was here. He stepped closer to the couch. The blanket shifted again. He hesitated. Fear gripped him, but he couldn't leave. Not now. He pulled the blanket back slowly. His breath caught. The woman lay curled, her face serene, but there was no mistaking the roundness of her belly. "Are you okay?" he asked, almost a whisper. Her eyes fluttered open. Confusion washed over her face. She blinked at him, then froze. "Who are you?" she asked, voice raspy. "Marcus," he replied, still stunned. "What's your name?" "Claire," she said. The name hung in the air. A moment of recognition. "Claire," he repeated. "All right, we'll figure this out together." He turned to leave, to give her space. The sunlight streamed through the window, but he hesitated. Something pulled him back. He reached into his pocket, fished out a granola bar. "Here, you need to eat." She took it, eyes widening. "Thank you." He nodded, unsure of what to say next. The tension lingered. Shadows crept closer, reminding him of his past. But now he had a chance to help someone else. "Let's get you some real food," he suggested. "You can come with me." Claire looked around the mobile home. The remnants of her life were scattered everywhere, the weight of her reality pressed down. He could see it all in her eyes, but he also saw a flicker of something else. Hope, maybe. "Why are you here?" she asked. He took a deep breath. "I needed to escape, just for a bit." She nodded, understanding. "I get that." The silence stretched. He felt the war inside him, the burdens he carried. But this wasn't about him. It was about her. He stepped back, trying to clear his head. "Look," he said, "I can't let you stay here. I'll make sure you're safe. Just don't be afraid." She held his gaze. There was a flicker of hope. Or maybe it was something else. He wasn't sure. But he felt a shift, something beginning to change. "All right," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. He took another deep breath. Relief flooded him. Outside, the sun dipped lower. Shadows stretched across the ground. "Let's go," he urged, holding out his hand. Claire hesitated, then took his hand. They stepped outside. The world felt different. The sun began to set, casting long shadows. The mobile home behind them felt like a memory. Inside, something new started to stir, a chance for both of them, a promise of another day. But as they walked, doubts filled his mind. Should he really take her home? What if it was too dangerous? What if the shadows of his past followed him? He glanced at her, that flicker of hope still there. It steadied him. "Are you sure?" he asked, looking into her eyes. "I'm sure," she replied. The tension hung between them. He felt the weight of his decision, but at that moment he decided. He would help her. "Would you take her home? Yes or no? And why?" "Let's get you some food," he said gently, leading her down the dirt road. With each step, the shadows behind him faded. The promise of tomorrow felt real, but the journey ahead was still unknown. He stepped back, trying to gather his thoughts. The mobile home felt different now. It wasn't just a shelter. It was a place where someone lived. He could see signs now, a half-eaten apple on the counter, a blanket crumpled on the couch. Marcus felt a pull. He wanted to help her, but the shadows whispered. They reminded him of the choices he made, the ones that led him here. He took a deep breath. This wasn't about him. It was about Claire. "Hey," he said softly. "You okay?" No response. He shifted his weight. The tension hung thick in the air. He glanced around the room. The worn floor creaked under his feet. He stepped carefully, moving towards the couch. His heart raced. He reached out again. "I'm not here to hurt you." Finally, she stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. She looked at him, confusion clouding her face. "Who are you?" "Marcus," he replied. "I found you here." "Why?" "Because it's not safe," he said, glancing around. "You shouldn't be alone." She looked down, tracing her fingers across her belly. "I don't have anywhere else to go." Those words hit him. He felt the weight of her situation. The war inside him screamed, but he pushed it aside. "I can help. Just let me." She studied him. There was fear, yes, but also something else, a flicker of hope. "Why would you help me?" "Because I know what it's like to be lost." The silence stretched. He could see the flicker of trust, or maybe desperation. He didn't know, but he felt a shift. Something began to change. "All right," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, trying to contain the rush of relief. "Let's get you out of here." But as he turned to leave, doubt crept back in. What was he thinking? This was reckless. He barely knew her. But still, he felt drawn to her. The world outside felt quiet. He could hear the crickets chirping. The sun painted the sky with hues of orange. It was beautiful, but he felt anything but. "Where will I go?" Claire asked, breaking the silence. "I have a place," he replied, "not far from here. We can figure it out together." "Together," she echoed, uncertainty lacing her voice. "Yeah," he said, forcing a smile. "Together." He reached for her hand. It felt fragile, like a bird ready to take flight. "I won't let anything happen to you." She nodded, her eyes shimmering. "Okay." They stepped outside, the sun setting behind them. The mobile home behind them felt like a memory. Inside, something new started to stir. A chance for both of them. A promise of another day. But as they walked, doubts filled his mind. Should he really take her home? What if it was too dangerous? What if the shadows of his past followed him? He glanced at her, that flicker of hope still there. It steadied him. "Are you sure?" he asked, looking into her eyes. "I'm sure," she replied. The tension hung between them. He felt the weight of his decision. But at that moment, he decided he would help her. "Let's get you some food," he said gently, leading her down the dirt road. With each step, the shadows behind him faded. The promise of tomorrow felt real, but the journey ahead was still unknown. The dirt road stretched ahead. Shadows lengthened with the setting sun. Marcus felt the weight of his decision. Claire walked beside him, her presence steady. But doubts crept in. What if he was making a mistake? "Maybe this ain't such a good idea," he muttered. Claire glanced at him. "Why? You're helping me." "Yeah, but—" He hesitated. "I got my own problems." "Doesn't matter." She shook her head. "I need you." The words lingered in the air. He felt the pull of his past, like a heavy chain. The memories of the war haunted him. He could almost hear the echoes of gunfire, the cries for help. "Every time I try to help, I mess it up," he admitted. Claire stopped walking. "You're not them." He looked at her. "What if I can't leave it behind?" She stepped closer. "You can. We both can." He studied her face. There was determination in her eyes. "What if I bring you trouble?" She took a deep breath. "You already showed me kindness. That means something." The road felt endless. Each step weighed heavy. He could still turn back. The mobile home loomed in the distance, a symbol of his retreat. But inside, he knew it wasn't just about him. "Listen," he said, voice low. "I ain't sure I'm ready for this." "I'm not asking you to be," Claire replied softly. "Just walk with me." He nodded, though uncertainty gnawed at him. They continued down the road, side by side. The sky turned shades of orange and purple. He felt the warmth of the sun fading, yet something inside him flickered. "Can I ask you something?" she said after a moment. "Sure." "Why did you buy that mobile home?" He hesitated. "Thought I could start over." "From what?" He clenched his fists. "From the war. From everything." The shadows seemed to close in. "You don't have to do it alone, you know." He let out a breath. "It's hard to trust." "I get it," she said. "I've been alone too long." A silence fell between them. He recalled his past, the faces of those he couldn't save, the pain he kept buried. "I can't go back to that place." "But you're here now." Her voice was steady. "You're doing something good." The road ahead twisted, fading into darkness. He felt a surge of fear, but he looked at Claire. She needed him. "What if I mess up again?" "Then we fix it together," she said. He stopped, feeling the weight of her gaze. "It ain't just about you." "I know." She stepped closer. "Have you ever feared helping would only make it worse? But it's about us now." Those words hung heavy in the air. He felt a shift. The burden on his shoulders began to lighten. He thought of the mobile home. It felt less like a prison now, more like a refuge. "Maybe I can help you." A flicker of hope crossed her face. "Maybe we can help each other." With each step, he felt the past release its grip. The memories faded like the light of day. "Let's get you some food," he said, a small smile breaking through. "Okay." They walked on, the dirt crunching underfoot. The bond between them grew stronger. A path toward healing revealed itself. He glanced at her. "You know, I ain't never done anything like this before." She smiled gently. "Me neither." As they moved forward, the shadows behind him receded. The promise of tomorrow felt real. He didn't know what awaited them, but the weight of his past felt lighter. "Just stay with me," he whispered. "I will," she promised. Together they forged ahead, two souls finding their way through the darkness. The path ahead remained uncertain, but they had each other, and that was enough for now. He looked at Claire. The sun dipped low. Shadows stretched long against the dirt. The mobile home loomed behind them. It felt like a reminder, a weight on his chest. "Maybe I should head back," he said, voice low. Claire frowned. "Why? People will be looking for me. I ain't supposed to be here." "Are you worried?" "Yeah," he admitted. "About what's next." He thought of the war, the faces, the guilt. Each memory clawed at him. They crept closer. He felt the pull, the urge to run. "Listen," she said softly. "You don't have to go back." He shook his head. "But I don't belong here." "Neither do I," she said. "We can figure it out, together." Her words hung in the air. He looked at her. Her eyes held a flicker of hope. "What if it's too dangerous?" he asked. "Every choice comes with risk," she replied. "But so does staying away." He took a deep breath. The weight pressed down harder. He thought of leaving, of the road ahead. "Claire," he said, voice trembling, "I can't go back to that place." "You won't be alone," she said. "I promise." He wanted to believe her, but the past felt like a shadow. It loomed over him. "Just stay a bit longer," she urged. He nodded slowly. "Okay." The silence stretched. They stood together, feet planted in the dirt. "Tell me about your past," Claire said. He hesitated. "It ain't pretty." "Neither is mine," she replied. "But we can face it." He clenched his fists. "I lost people. I couldn't save them." Claire stepped closer. "You're here now. That matters." "I don't know how to help you," he said. "You're already helping," she said, "just by being here." He felt the tension ease just a bit. The shadows behind him receded. "Maybe we can help each other," he murmured. "Exactly," she smiled. They stood in the fading light. The mobile home felt less like a prison, more like a chance. "Let's go inside," she suggested. He glanced back. The open door invited him. He took a step forward. "Together?" he asked. "Always," she promised. They walked inside. The air was still. Dust danced in golden rays. He paused, looking around. "It needs work." "Like us," Claire said. He chuckled softly. "Yeah, like us." He moved toward the small kitchen. A few plates sat on the counter. "Did you eat?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not really." He opened a cabinet, found some canned food. "Here, this'll do." "Thank you," she said, her gaze warm. He felt a flicker of something, a tiny spark of hope. As he heated the food, he glanced at her. "What do you want?" "To be safe," she said. "To be free." "Me too," he replied, voice barely a whisper. They shared the meal. The silence felt comfortable. "Maybe we can start over," he said. "Maybe we can," she answered. He thought of the road ahead. The past still lingered, but it felt lighter. "Let's make a plan," he suggested. "Okay," Claire nodded. "But first, we need to rest." The couch leaned against the wall. It looked worn but inviting. "Let's sleep here tonight," he offered. "Yeah," she replied. "I'd like that." They settled onto the couch. The blanket felt warm. "Together," he said softly. "Together," she echoed. As they closed their eyes, he felt a shift. The weight of his past receded. In that moment, he realized something. They both needed this. Staying here tonight, smart or dangerous. The promise of tomorrow felt real. He didn't know what awaited them, but he felt a sense of peace. For the first time in a long while, he saw a path ahead. They had each other, and that was enough for now. Outside, the stars began to twinkle. A quiet breeze whispered through the trees. The mobile home stood still, a refuge now. Not just for him, but for her too. He drifted off, thoughts of the war fading. The journey was just beginning, but they were ready, together. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window. It felt warm, but there was a chill in the air. Marcus stood by the door. He could hear the sounds of the outside world, birds chirping, a distant engine running. He looked back. Claire slept soundly on the couch. He grabbed his jacket. The weight of it felt familiar. He stepped outside, closing the door quietly. The air felt different out here, fresh, but heavy with decision. A pickup truck rumbled down the dirt road. Dust rose behind it. He recognized that truck. It belonged to Joe, his old friend. Joe had always been a steady presence. He'd known Marcus before the war, before everything changed. "Marcus!" Joe called out as he pulled up. "You still here?" "Yeah," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Joe stepped out, hands on his hips. "What are you doing out here? You can't keep hiding." Marcus shifted. "I ain't hiding. Sure feels like it. You got folks worried. Your family's been looking for you." Marcus glanced back at the mobile home. It felt like a sanctuary, but it also felt like a prison. "I'm okay." "Doesn't look like it," Joe said, concern etching his features. "You gotta come home. You need help." "Help?" Marcus scoffed. "I don't need help." "Yeah? Then why are you out here, alone?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. The weight of the past pressed down. Memories of the war flashed through his mind. The chaos, the loss. He didn't want to go back. Not yet. "Look, I get it," Joe said softly. "But you can't run forever. You need to face it. You can't keep carrying this." Marcus clenched his fists. He was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of feeling. "I don't want to face it." Joe sighed. "What about her? What do you mean?" "Claire. If you leave, what happens to her? She's in a tough spot, Marcus. You know that." His heart sank. He thought of her. The way she looked so vulnerable, so lost. "I can't just abandon her." "Then don't." Joe stepped closer. "Help her. You two need each other." The words struck him. Help her. He thought of the promise he made. He thought of their shared moments. They were both lost. Both searching for something. Healing didn't happen alone. "Maybe I can stay a little longer," he said, voice wavering. Joe nodded. "That's all I'm asking. Just don't shut yourself off. You can't fix everything by running away." "Yeah," Marcus replied, staring down the road. "I know." He turned back toward the mobile home. He needed to help Claire. She was a part of this journey now, a path forward, together. As he stepped inside, he saw Claire sitting up, her hair tousled, eyes still heavy with sleep. "Morning," she said softly. "Morning," he replied, feeling lighter. "Did you sleep okay?" she asked, concern flitting across her face. "Yeah, better than I expected." She smiled faintly. "I'm glad." He approached her, sitting on the edge of the couch. "I talked to Joe." Her expression shifted. "What did he say?" "He said I shouldn't run away. I should help you." Claire's eyes widened. "You want to help me?" "Yeah," he replied, heart racing. "I think we both need it." Her gaze softened. "I don't want to be a burden." "You ain't a burden," he said firmly. "We can do this together." The air felt charged. A sense of possibility hung between them. They were two broken souls finding strength in one another. The road ahead was uncertain, but they could face it together. Outside, the sun climbed higher. The dust settled around the mobile home. It felt like a new beginning. They were both ready to heal. "Together," she whispered, a hint of hope in her voice. "Together," he echoed. They smiled, a shared understanding passing between them. The weight of their past still lingered, but now it felt lighter. They had each other, and that made all the difference. The mobile home stood still, a refuge, not just for Marcus, but for Claire too. The journey was just beginning, but they were willing to take the first steps forward. Together. "Hey," Marcus said, breaking the silence. "You want some breakfast?" "Sure," she replied, her smile growing. As they moved toward the small kitchen, the shadows of their pasts began to fade. They were no longer just two lost souls. They were a team. A promise of hope lingered in the air. And for the first time in a long while, it felt like home. Comment below. Would you have stayed or left? And why? Your answer says a lot about you.